What's up, JR?
Hi, Sean. How we doing, buddy?
Good, man. I'm excited for this LinkedIn Live. Thanks for joining me today. Hey, for the audience, just a quick intro if you don't know who I am and what Shift Group is and who JR is. Shift Group is a organization that essentially trains. Hey, JR, your audio is in the background. We essentially train and help place elite athletes, pro athletes that are transitioning out of that world, and military vets from all the services to entry level sales job. A little bit about myself. I did 22 years in the Army as a Army Special Forces, known as a Green Beret, and then I transitioned in 2021 into sales. I had a very kind of rocky transition because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to translate what I did in the military into an entry level sales role. And through trial and error and a lot of time and a lot of disappointment and messing up, I landed into this tech sales realm. And then I took my intangibles that I brought from my military service, and I essentially did really well at every job that I had. And then JR approached me in February and said, "Hey, we've been doing really well with the athletes. They go through a similar transition as the vets. It's just like a new life. And can you help me stand up the veteran side of Shift Group after they've been successful with the athletes?" And then I hopped on with him, and it's been busy, and we're growing and positive reviews, and we're in a good space as far as helping the veterans out. I'm pretty happy. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce you guys to my CEO, JR Butler.
Thank you, Sean. And I'll do some quick background on myself. So I grew up in Massachusetts. I'm the son of a Hall of Fame junior and high school hockey coach. Oldest of three boys. We all went on to play Division I hockey. And one of my brothers played in the NHL and the Olympics. But when I retired from hockey, I struggled like you, Sean. I struggled with the transition. I tried like 7 or 8 different jobs my first couple of years out of the game before I finally tripped and fell into sales. And it was a perfect fit for my DNA. I wanted to be on a team. I wanted to compete every day. I wanted to work in a profession where it was skill-based, and if it's skill-based, you can practice and you can put in effort to get better and get rewarded to do so. So sales was just a perfect fit. And then I spent 16 years in sales, most of it in leadership. I was an early employee at a fast growth company out of Boston that, grew from under 300 customers to over 3,000, $1 million to almost $200 million in revenue. And we ended up selling the business for close to $2 billion to IBM. And that experience, as well as a few years I spent as a chief revenue officer on hiring, made me appreciate, number one, how strategic entry-level sales hiring can be for a business, because we built a company where our top reps in enterprise and commercial came out of our BDR program, but also how much it can hurt you, right? We were wrong for the most part 50% of the time. And it's easy to get tricked in the way that interviews work today, this antiquated approach. I always joke that my grandfather was a liquor salesman, and the way he got his first sales job is literally the exact same way I did. And that process hasn't changed. And if somebody has a good personality and they're intelligent, they're typically going to interview pretty well. But interviewing doesn't always translate to execution when it comes to the job. So when people ask me why I built the company, Sean, it really comes down to, I built it for myself at 2 points in my career. One, when I was transitioning out of something that I loved and was dedicated to, and that candidly was my whole personality for 23 years. And I built it for the version of JR that was looking for, really competitive, resilient, coachable sales candidates that knew how to work on a team and weren't entitled and weren't afraid to put in the time and effort to become great. So that's kind of the context behind how and why I started the company. And I think now we're at the point where we're seeing this come to life and be executed. So I'm excited to show it to everyone today. Sean, anything else you want me to hit on?
No, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go over a brief overview of the training that our candidates get while they're a part of Shift Group. And then that's going to build on, the Shift Connect that which everybody's here to see. So like essentially they go through the training, a bunch of stuff gets uploaded into Shift Connect, which we're going to show you. And then what it does is it's going to help hiring managers essentially eliminate the first step of the SaaS hiring process that really I got weeded out in, when I was interviewing, and a lot of our athletes that go out on their own get weeded out. It's because we don't have the checklist essentially that the HR is given by the sales leaders of what a minimum qualification would be for a sales hire.
Yeah, exactly right. You want to make me, there you go. Perfect. So to take a step back for a second, as a sales guy, I should lead with this, but talking about the outcomes that we drive. Number one, on the athlete and veteran side, it's a much more updated and innovative way for these folks to be able to come in and do self-discovery and career discovery, right? We've talked about the numbers, Sean. We're getting about 380 athletes and veterans a month that sign up for this program. And we have a high attrition rate out of our program, and that's by design. We don't want kids that ultimately aren't going to be a good fit in sales to go through the program. So in that intro course, we're sharing very transparently what it takes to be successful as a human being from a DNA perspective in sales, and then what the expectations are if you decide to go down this route. What is your first year or two going to look like? What is your day-to-day going to look like? And then, of course, we still talk about the potential and the career path and, all the good stuff that everyone else talks about, but we're very transparent and honest about what it takes to get there. From there, our candidates are able to then learn more tactical things, right? What does a resume need to look like for a sales job, a LinkedIn, an intro letter? We have them record some videos, which you'll see why that's relevant when we get to the portal. But the real meat and secret sauce of what we do is a really, really deep dive into the foundational skills it takes to be successful as a professional B2B technology salesperson. Number one, you need to understand how companies buy and what the team is, how the team is structured in a sales organization. So everything from what a CSM is and what your job is as a BDR to how companies evaluate technology and create internal business cases, right? So we kind of lead up, and this is structured in a way where the path that you take builds off of one another. From there, they learn about account research and prospecting best practices. Then they learn how to take that account research and that list building and write effective cold outreach to these people, whether that's via email or LinkedIn. They learn how to pick up the phone, get someone live, how to keep them on the phone, and of course, how to close a meeting, which is really your job as a BDR. And then when you do get someone who raises their hand, like an inbound lead or someone who wants to talk for a little bit longer, we teach them how to do discovery and qualification. And a lot of that foundationally is built off of, what I grew up with, which is MEDDIC, and learning how to truly qualify whether a customer is a good fit. Not just, convince them to move forward, but really decide for yourself if they're going to be worth your time, which is actually the most important part. We talk a lot about the different sales tools. We hit like the 4 biggest ones in Salesforce.com, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Zoom Info, and Outreach. But we think anyone coming out of that program can use any type of CRM, any type of contact database, any type of dialer, and obviously be very proficient on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And then last, but certainly not least, is operational excellence. And that's really more about, because we work with athletes and veterans, they come from extremely structured environments. That's why they had the success they did. And then they get into a career that's really known for its autonomy from a sales perspective. But what we really preach with our people is that you need to bring the structure, the rhythm into your career, and you need to consider how you structure your day, your week, your month, your quarter, in a way that is advantageous of you hitting your quota, developing the right skills, and progressing your career. So that's kind of the thought process of how this training is built. And every training, every skill that we teach, we give a test, an assignment to every candidate. And they have to do multiple examples of that assignment. And then at the end, we do a final test that gets graded by a third-party seasoned salesperson. And the way it gets graded is we record the final test and we share those recordings, those game tapes with third-party people. And these kids get feedback. They get insight into what they need to work on, where their weaknesses are and where their strengths are, but so do our hiring partners. So that's really the training piece, Sean. Anything else that you think I should add color to?
Yeah. So for the candidates, actually, and I don't know if we brought this up in the beginning. If you're logged on right now and you're watching, this is all free, right? So like you can come in, it's self-paced. If you got another job, that's fine. You just do it at night. We'll link you up with a coach. We got really good coaches that will like help you through this whole process on your timeline, right? And then obviously the quicker you do it, the quicker we're going to get you in front of hiring partners. But it's not a lot of pressure, right? You just kind of drudge along through this, learn really good stuff, and then when we get all the stuff that we need to upload you to Shift Connect, which we're going to show you next, that's when you start interviewing with our hiring partners.
Yeah, and another point to build off of that, Sean, that I'll make is like not only is it free, like we don't make our people sign anything. So you're allowed to go through the training and still apply to jobs on your own if you want. We see it as actually a competitive differentiator because we've gotten into a lot of customers who have hired our people before they met us, and those people accelerated so quickly that they tried to understand how they were able to ramp, and they called us because they wanted to hire more people like them. So, the candidate side is, at the end of the day, in my opinion, a complete no-brainer if you're serious about being a professional business-to-business technology salesperson.
Yeah, I think that covered it pretty good. Let's go ahead and move on to Shift Connect, which is why we're here.
Absolutely. So the original idea behind this company, before we built the name in like 2021 and we launched the business in 2022. But in about 2016, 2017 is when I first put pen to paper for Shift Group. And I'm really excited about showing everyone this because this was my original vision. And I knew a lot of people, when they want to build a software company, go out and raise money. But I knew that we could build a company as a services organization and build software ourselves. So that's what we did. This is a self-funded platform. And for now, our business model, is we basically have two options. You can use us as a contingent staffing firm and get access to this database, or you can do a subscription, which will lower your cost per hire really at your third hire. So if anyone's out there that's going to hire more than 2 people, the subscription is going to make the most sense, and it's going to change the economics of hiring from a service like ours. But either way, you sign an agreement with us, whether that's contingent or a subscription. You create a login, and the first thing that you do when you are logging into Shift Connect is you're creating your own portal, your own kind of a company profile where you can actually talk about where you are hiring from, what your love when a demo goes well.
Yeah.
You can put your LinkedIn in there, the industry that you're in, all that type of stuff. Now, what's really cool is now you get access to our entire database of candidates. So these are candidates that have been through the training, and they are at the point where they're just kicking off the job skill training. So let's just do a real example. Let's pretend I'm a company in Austin, Texas, and I want to hire somebody that is either already in Texas, or at least willing to relocate there. So, and maybe my opening doesn't start for another month. So I'm okay with looking at candidates that are still in the pipeline for Shift Group. These are all the candidates that Shift Group currently has that are in Texas. I can go to a candidate's profile. I get to see like a headshot like LinkedIn, an action shot from either their sport or their service career. I can read essentially what is like a cover letter about that candidate, and why they're a good fit for sales and why they're interested in sales. And then what's really unique is I can actually hear directly from the candidate why, what their story is, why they want to do sales, and why they think they're a good fit for sales. So you get these preview videos right up front. You can download their resume. You can go to their LinkedIn. Now, this is a person who's still in training, so they haven't quite finished the full training yet. That's why they don't have scores yet. But if I'm interested in this person, it's simple as favoriting them, and they'll land on my favorites page. And in most cases, if you favorite somebody, Shift Group will make the connection directly to that candidate immediately, as we all get a notification that you favorited somebody. Now, let's take a step back and say I'm in a position where I need to hire right away. So I really need to see a candidate who's fully completed the training. And I'm still a company in Texas. So again, I go in, I select my state, and I do a search again. And now I see all the candidates that Shift Group has that have been through that 30 hours of work that we talked about earlier and actually completed the final test. I'll go to Kendrick's profile here. He's a football player. I can read about Kendrick's background. I can watch those same 3 videos. And now what's really cool is I can watch that final test, that final game tape. So instead of trusting a resume or an intro letter or LinkedIn, I can actually see this candidate completing the skills and the job function that I'm looking to hire them for, right? They're going to be doing, as a BDR, they're going to be doing account research, all these things. And I can watch them present an account research assignment. I can watch them present a cold email. I can even watch them do a live cold call and a live discovery call. And really at the end, I can see what their game plan is to be successful in their first BDR role by watching their 30, 60, 90, which is incredible. So I really get a good sense of that candidate. Now, the other thing I can do, if I don't want to watch that whole game tape, maybe I just watch one piece of it, but I want to know what somebody else thinks of that candidate, I can go to their scouting report. And this is filled out, like I said, by a third-party salesperson, not us, not Shift Group. This is they have to have at least 5 years of sales experience to get into our assistant coaches program. And I can see how this person graded each of those skills, the notes that they gave the candidate from an improvement perspective, both positive and negative. And then overall, what are this candidate's top 3 strengths and top 3 areas for improvement? Again, incredibly transparent insight into a candidate before I even get on the phone to decide if I want to interview them, right? So you're looking at obviously accelerated ramp time because of the training. You're looking at higher productivity because of the skills they've developed. But something that a lot of people don't talk about is how much of a time suck the interview process can be, especially those early screening calls. You know, you're trying to hit your number, you're trying to develop your team, and you got to talk to 10, 15 people a week that, 14 of them aren't going to be a fit for you. This skips that step completely for you, and make sure you're getting to the right person for that first interview. The other way that you can view candidates is via the leaderboard. The leaderboard is built off of all the candidates that complete the test and finish the score. We have a lot of companies now that are very interested in hiring our veteran candidates. So right here is this notification whether or not they're a veteran or not. And by the way, you can choose to search people via demographics, sex, ethnicity, whatever. You can do by start date. If you're a remote company, you can do time zone. That's kind of limitless up there. but to check out a veteran candidate who's at the top of the leaderboard, you go in, you read about that candidate, and you get to kind of hear them tell their story, watch their game tape, and we try to do game tape highlights as well for every candidate. The other thing that I didn't call out when I was looking at Kendrick's profile, on a completed game tape, you have their entire workbook that they completed in our program. So all of their work, not just the ones that they presented in the test, you get to see all their account research assignments. You get to see all their cold email assignments. You get to see the notes they took to prepare for their cold call and discovery call. We don't tape the sales tool test, but you are able to go in and make sure that they understand the different sales tools that they're going to be using and what function they're going to serve them as a BDR. So you get a really good sense of, the candidate's background, what they've accomplished in their lives, and you get to hear them communicate their value proposition to you as a hiring manager. So, and there's multiple different ways to search the database. And like I said, so for Tom, I'll favorite him. If I were to favorite him, he's someone who's completed the training. We'd make an immediate introduction. And if I wanted to just check in on the favorites that I've had so far, I click on favorites and I can see any candidate that I've favored so far. And what's really cool is if I want to, maybe I'm a recruiting manager or an internal talent acquisition person, and I want to invite the hiring manager for BDRs to review a profile, I can invite them to sign up for Shift Group as soon as I sign my agreement with our company, and they'll be able to see the people that you favorited. They'll be able to review different profiles. So it becomes like a working platform, not just for you as an internal recruiter, but your whole team to take that first step in hiring. So that's it's very simple now, but we think the transparency and insight is nothing like I've ever seen in 16 years of selling, probably 12 of those hiring people. So that we think like even version 1, like I said in my post yesterday, we think even version 1 is a massive improvement upon the kind of current approaches that exist out there.
Yeah, so you talk about this a lot in your content, and me and you align a lot on like values type stuff and people's core values and stuff like that. So I think so can you talk a little bit about the value that this brings compared to like what you talk about as like people that are just good at interviewing, and that's how that you talk about you had a 50% miss rate. Well, a lot of that was because you bought into somebody that was really good at interviewing, right? And then you just weren't able to catch like the attributes or characteristics that you look in your organization to build out your sales team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I think to be great at anything, it takes obviously skills and knowledge, right? And I think we're trying to solve a piece of that with this. But the other thing that makes a difference between success and mediocrity is characteristics and attributes. And the reason we focus on athletes and veterans, Sean, is because we don't have to wonder whether or not the people that come through our program are accountable, have high character, fear of failure, competitiveness, like I said, coachability, right? Like these are people who spent the last 25 to, in some cases, 30 years, even as young people, showing that they had those characteristics, those intangibles, because you can't go and play at the college level. You can't serve in the military for an extended period of time without being the type of person that can work on a team, without being the type of person that's going to be accountable. So when you think about hiring and you think about specifically hiring BDRs, it's a thankless job, Sean. We both did it, right? You're not paid a lot of money. I think it's a fair compensation, but you're not paid a lot. You don't get to celebrate the wins the way the account executives do. You need like a lot of internal motivation to keep going, especially, for an entire 4 quarters, or in some cases 6 quarters. Like, you need to be able to show up every day and be okay with working really hard and failing a whole lot, and being bad at stuff at the beginning. And I think uniquely, not only does our audience have those things, but they've proven it again by the fact that they've gotten through 30 hours of training just to get a profile live with us. So it's the proof is in the pudding, in my opinion, right? Actions speak louder than words. These folks have done the actions to prove that they have those intangible characteristics, and they're not the type of people that are going to quit, and they're not the type of people that are entitled to think that they deserve more than what they've earned. So I think that is actually our biggest unique differentiator, even beyond the platform.
Yeah, it is. And that's what me and you and the rest of the team are always like kind of, our evangelists for on LinkedIn. So, hey, I'd like to take some questions at the very end. We still have like, I think, over a dozen people logged on watching this. But before we do that, can you talk about like the roadmap, like some of the stuff, like if you sign up for a subscription, we'll build out the training specific to your company, our tenacity as a service stuff that we're working on, all that stuff.
Yeah, can you give? Yeah, please.
Okay.
So couple roadmap items on the platform side. So the game plan for us is we're going to add some functionality in here for companies to interact directly with our candidates, right? So it could be there'll be a button here that says, immediately interested, and you'll be able to book time right there with the candidate versus us making that connection. That's number one. Number two, maybe you like the candidate's profile, but you'd like to see a little bit more from them. We're going to give you a button to request them to do a specific assignment for you, right? So that could be, hey, can you send me a 2-minute video, Isaiah, as to why you want to work at our company? Can you complete this email assignment for us? Can you do this account research assignment for us? So again, accelerating that interview process. And then we're going to have content within our platform for those that subscribe to it, where a candidate will actually be able to do every one of those assignments in the context of your business. So we're going to build specific content for your business as well. And then last but not least, and I think this is a really cool opportunity for a lot of companies that aren't maybe hiring right now, we've built a service. We're calling it TAS, which is Tenacity as a Service. But essentially, we're going to add a step in our training program while candidates are waiting for interviews, where they're going to get access to trainings that are specific to a company. We're going to start with a shift group training. Candidates are going to learn about our ideal customer profile, our ideal buyer persona, the objections that we run into, our competitors, all the things that will arm them to then pick up the phone and go call and get us meetings. And our Tenacity as a Service model is going to be that exact same kind of functionality, except they'll get trained on your company. And you'll actually get to select who you leverage from a candidate perspective. So think of the program as simply, they go through our training program. If you select them to be your outsourced BDR, they have to pass a test about your business after going through training. We're going to provide the technology stack for you, including a couple 4 email sending emails with warmed up domains. And we're going to couple that email reach out with LinkedIn and with high activity calling. And we're going to be giving you operational insight into the success of the BDRs that are supporting your business. And that dashboard is also going to land on our candidates' profiles for companies that are interested in interviewing people. So you can see how these candidates are doing as BDRs, essentially, right? So that handles the objection that we get a lot, that they don't have cold calling experience. All these candidates now are going to have cold calling experience. So maybe you're not hiring right now, but you are shopping around for potential outsourcers. That's a business that we are actively going to be getting into moving forward, that we're very excited about.
So what makes us different than everybody else, and this is unique, is like, it's kind of a win-win, because they're going to be doing essentially business development for you. And then when you come up with the funds, you're going to hire a person that you've already worked with, right? And then a lot of these like other agencies, they don't want their people hired away from their agencies, right? It's our goal to get them a job. This is just a stopgap. So if you can't afford it, you pay us for tasks. We'll give you the candidates. They do a really good job, and then literally you already know who you're hiring. It's going to be essentially like a 99%, like uh, he or she's going to do well when they transition over into your company because they've already been doing it for a couple months.
Yep. And for those customers that do end up signing up for this service, your placement fee for hiring somebody who worked for you for a quarter or 2 quarters will be cheaper than just going and finding a candidate in our portal on its own. So we kind of have an answer for everybody that needs help when it comes to demand generation. That's our business. So we're really excited about that program.
All right. So if anybody's got any questions, go ahead and let me know. We'll have JR or me answer it, and then we'll do a wrap up real quick. Dalton, hey, if they're getting trained under a company's subscription, will they be representing the company they are getting trained for on cold calls?
The only companies they'll be representing on their cold calls are the companies that are signed up for our outbound services. But if a company does do a subscription, to Sean's point, part of this subscription is that we are going to train our candidates on your business. So they'll take our core training initially, and then before they start with you, they will get certified on your ICP, your IBP, your objections, your scripts, all the things that will ensure that on day one, they've already done that first like 2 weeks of ramp work. That's going to be part of the subscription service. So in order for one of our candidates to get trained on your specific business, you need to either use us for TAS or sign up for a subscription. Hopefully that.
And it's just to add on to that, like it's up to you, Dalton, if you want, because I'm a prong approach SDR. That's why I was just so successful. I book a couple meetings a week on LinkedIn, I cold call, and I run email campaigns. Well, if you want them to have that LinkedIn social selling aspect, they're going to represent your company on LinkedIn. They're going to say they're part of your company, right? And I hope that answers your question, but that's kind of what. But we're going to leave that up to the company. Some people don't want them represent their companies, and some do. It's up to you, right, JR?
Yep. Well said.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. I don't see any other questions. We got about a dozen people in here. All right. So let's go ahead and wrap it up, JR. Anything you want to impart on the audience?
No, I think listen, when we started the company 18 months ago, we've had a ton of success. We've worked with over 100 companies to successfully hire BDR talent. Our attrition rate is under 5%. So it's a proven product market fit. This platform is just the next iteration of the same thing we've been doing. And because we still have the contingent offering, there is still an opportunity for companies to see the value of working with us without having to spend any money. They can get into the portal, they can interview candidates without paying $1 unless they find someone that's a good fit. So at the end of the day, we've made it a no-brainer for athletes and veterans, and we've made it a no-brainer for companies. So there's really no reason not to call us at this point. So thank you for joining, and we're excited to work with you. Hopefully we told a good story here.
Hey, JR, you brought up a good point. I don't think we brought up before I exit out is like, what's our guarantees, like our warranty, for lack of a better term? Because you said like the contingent model, if they hire somebody, what kind of guarantees are we giving people?
Yeah, the contingent model is 90 days. So you have a quarter with your candidate before you're on the hook for a finalized payment. So again, the payment only comes in that contingent model if you end up hiring someone and they make it and they're successful. So pretty straightforward there.
Yeah. So I mean, just to go ahead and wrap it up, like JR hit on this term like 10 times, but shift group, like we're just all about transparency, and we're honest. We're about transparency. We're helping a group of people that, are kind of lost when they transition, and we're bringing, some clarity and some structure to both of those types of, transition in groups. So we really appreciate, all the love we've been getting on LinkedIn and social media. We got a podcast. We pump out a bunch of content. JR is a CEO. He's busy, but he'll talk to anybody. So if you want to hit him up on LinkedIn, he'll answer you. Like, me and him talk to all kinds of people all the time because, we're excited and we want to help people. So this is what we do. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. Hit us up if you got any questions. Thanks, JR.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
later.